Okay, good afternoon. I'm Liz Sauber, Chair of the City of Albany IDA. I call the January 16th meeting to order. Note that we do have a quorum with all members in attendance except for Christopher Betts. First item on the agenda is to ask for a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and accept as presented.
So move.
May I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next will be the report from your chief financial officer.
Thank you, Chair. Quick note, values for running of both on costs. It's almost audit. We expect to have a complete presentation. February, early March, but everything is trending to be completed on schedule. No issues to note yet. In your packet are the schedules of cash position and fee detail. I'd like to spend just a moment stepping through how we got to year-end values and what the wrap up is going to look like. Budget actual revenue, we were 63% above budget. Expenses were down 11%. So that's an underperformed to expense, overperformed the revenue. Those are all the function of the project activity occurred throughout the year. Quick notes on the cash flow statement, net income approximately $126,000. Total net cash increased approximately $185,000 during 2024. Net cash operations, $166,000. We're ending the year with a cash balance of approximately $3.8 million. Represent a very strong factor there, growing by 5% of the year. Income statement notes, our total income, approximately $1.4 million. CSC admin and economic development expenses represent 70% of the total expense outlay. Total expense is approximately $1.2 million. We generated approximately 1.4 in total revenue, with the majority coming from agency fees. Expenses as expected, administrative costs were by and large the single biggest expense category, particularly again in the CSC and professional fees categories. Again, these are our approximate values. We're working with our auditor and BST to complete the year financials. We'll have a full report in about 6 days.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Andy? All right. Moving on to unfinished business, 563 Scotland Avenue.
Thank you. This request at hand involves the request for additional mortgage recording tax exemptions. This project was introduced at the December Finance Committee meeting and also discussed at the December IDA board meeting. A public hearing was also held prior to January's Finance Committee meeting, during which public comment was received. Just a quick recap, this project involves the new construction of approximately 188 residential market rate apartment units over 4 buildings on approximately 3.3 acres and just about 15,000 square feet of ground floor retail commercial space. This project is located directly across the street from St. Peter's Hospital, and I believe some of the commercial tenants are already open. If anyone has a chance to swing by there, it's pretty impressive looking. So essentially, in order to engage additional phases, the project beneficiary needed to take on additional financing, and therein lies the request for additional mortgage recording tax exemptions of approximately $211,000. Since the request involves additional assistance over $100,000, a public hearing for our policy was required, and as previously mentioned, was held. We do have Deb here with us today, a representative for the project applicant team that can answer any further questions.
Any questions for Doug or for Andy? May I get a motion on the resolution authorizing additional benefits in the execution by the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency of a certain modification agreement and other documents in connection with the 563 New Scotland Avenue LLC project?
So move.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is Northgate Landing LLC.
Thank you, Chair. Just as a quick refresher, this project is the new construction of purpose-built affordable housing at 500 Northern Boulevard, approximately 185 units. This agency approved the request for a 10% shelter rent pilot back in January of 2024. And since then, the project applicant has been working with New York State Housing and Finance Agency to schedule a closing on those 4%. 4% low-income housing tax credits, and they are in the queue. And they don't expect to be able to close until June of 2025. Their 1-year approval would technically expire in a couple days. They are requesting that the approvals be extended through July 1st, which gives them a little bit of a cushion and gets them through June to get closed simultaneously with this agency and HSA. There's no request for any additional assistance before us today.
Okay. Are there any questions? May I get a motion on the resolution approving an extension of the expiration date relating to the approving resolution adopted by the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency with respect to a commercial project for Northgate Landing LLC?
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
New business administrative enhancement.
Olivia.
So this revision to the policy manual was introduced at December governance and also addressed at the December board meeting, so I think most of us should be familiar. I'll just quickly go over it. So the proposed amendment involves reducing the agency's current fee for low-income housing tax credit projects, specifically 9% projects, from a $10,000 per year 10-year fee to $7,250 per year for 7 years. It also involves pushing back the start date of that fee a little bit to make it a little easier for the projects. The main reason for this is that low-income housing tax credit projects have been facing higher insurance costs, higher costs in general, and have been making it difficult for project applicants to meet this fee. So this will be a resolution just when.
Okay, are there any questions?
And just to reiterate, we did bring this change through the governance committee as well, and it was moved forward with a positive recommendation.
It's just finalizing the policy manual edit and amendment.
Which will be part of what we see coming up next in our annual housekeeping resolution.
Spoiler alert. May I get a motion on the resolution approving certain amendments to the agency's policy manual?
So moved.
I guess, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Annual housekeeping resolution, 2025.
Sure, so I'll take the intro of this one. As you all know, we annually review a housekeeping resolution, which includes a number of items. If I could refer you to page 33 of your packet, it is Schedule A. That walks you through the various items on the housekeeping resolution, starting with the confirmation of our regular agency meeting schedule, the third Thursday of each month at 12:15 p.m. And then walking you through the officers and staff to the agency, including making myself, Ashley Moles, the Chief Executive Officer, making it a permanent instead of interim, Andrew Corcione as Chief Operating Officer, as has been the case. And newly appointing Andrew Begain as Chief Financial Officer, and then walking down through appointment of our accounting firm of the agency counsel, bond counsel, and then the various governance committees, finance committee, audit committees, all of the committees for the year. I should note that the professional service agreements for administrative and legal services have previously been reviewed and approved by the finance committee. So we'll take an opportunity for any comments, questions, concerns, and then we move to.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns?
Good job.
Follow up with anything, but by adopting this, you're adopting the policy manual as amended a millisecond ago.
May I get a motion on the resolution approving certain appointments and administrative matters of the agency?
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations one more time, Andy.
Yes.
The new name, like.
Hey,
Yeah.
theme music. Theme music. That's exactly it.
Wait a minute, if you wanna, we should stop now, okay.
We can move on.
Stays down here. Take you over upstairs, memorialize it. Next would be the presentation of the annual investment report. Andy.
So, pursuant to the bylaws of public authority law, the agency must prepare an annual report of the agency's investments. The report we need to the finance committee meeting was received for positive recommendation. As of 12/31, 24, the interest income was $21,840 based on a final balance of $2,000. Should be noted that staff recognizes this is an area of opportunity to evaluating the relationship, and we'll make best efforts to increase the investment.
I think I would do a motion, so more or less.
May I get a motion to accept this presentation by the,
So moved.
may I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next will be the property acquisition and disposition report. This one's exciting.
Pursuant to the bylaws of public authority law, the agency must prepare an annual report of the agency for property position. Result the report was previously reviewed by the finance committee and received a positive recommendation. As per the document in your packet, under our current.
May I get a motion acknowledging? No.
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody? Agency update.
Okay, so first on the agenda under agency update, we'll start with the discussion related to Tobin's First Prize. And so I just wanted to provide a little bit of a refresher and a background, and then we'll take it to Bill and the presentation over here. And so just as a general refresher, many of you are familiar with this large project that crosses municipal boundaries between Town of Colony and City of Albany. So because of that, you know, complicated or sort of unique nature of this site, this project is under an agreement, an intermunicipal agreement that was executed in 2017, which allows the project to go through like a single planning board process that is, you know, represented by both the City of Albany and Town of Colony representatives. That's allowed the project to have, you know, sort of an efficiency of reviews and make it, you know, able to be feasible and not really have to go through both entities and have differing requirements on both sides. So with that, we are in receipt of a letter that was previously distributed to the board that the development team is asking for City of Albany's support of their application, not to this agency, but to the Albany County Industrial Development Agency. And really the rationale and the way the staff has been looking at this is that, you know, in alignment with the intermunicipal agreement, it really makes sense in this specific scenario to have a single entity reviewing this project, such as Albany County, really, you know, in reference to the complicated nature of the revenues, expenses on the projects, how the abatements work, and then the shared services agreements on the project as well. So with that, I will kick it to Bill for an
Great,
update.
thanks, Ashley. Everybody,
Well,
thanks, sit down.
we can-
Bill Hoblock with Richville Capital Development Group, Greg Bouquet, my counsel, Colonel White is here also. I had sent to Andy, I don't know if you had a chance to circulate it. It's just a 6-minute time lapse video that shows a lot of the work we've done over the last few years, and I felt it best to send it to you guys beforehand, so we're not sitting here for 6 minutes. So
It was great.
It was a good watch, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance and you're really bored.
Yeah.
Waste 6 minutes of your life, but no, in all honesty, we're proud of it, it shows a lot, so, you know, I wanted to come here today and just talk about what that video shows, which is the extensive progress we've made on this redevelopment, as well as what the redevelopment plan is, because, we put this property under control 10 years ago in 2015, and we haven't stopped working for a decade on this project. And it's, you know, probably, I mean, you have two of the biggest eyesores in town, right? The Central Warehouse and First Prize. I can't speak for the central warehouse, but I can speak for First Prize. And we've made a lot of progress. And, it started with, we wanted to do a, predominantly high-density residential development, because you guys know us, we got in Holland, this is what we do. But we also wanted to do not just high-density residential, but other complementary land uses. And it always came back to the First Prize Center, always. And that's for a bunch of different reasons, and it's really your classic industrial redevelopment opportunity. And why did it always come back to First Prize? Number one, it's location, it's in the center of the capital region. If we all know, you're minutes from downtown, you have the Nano Complex, one exit away, Albany's right there. You're surrounded by literally millions of square feet of office park. So you have all of these economic drivers right there. Also access to all modes of transportation. You go one way, you hit the airport, you go the other way, you hit the rail station. And we basically have our own exit on the most heavily traveled highway, which is I-90. So that's the good, and that's why it always came back, First Prize. Second is the size, it's 32 acres, and when you're talking about really an urban infill project, it doesn't get any bigger than that, which is fantastic, because with the size of the redevelopment we wanted to do, we needed a lot of acreage. So that's the good, right? That's what always drove us to this. With that came, I'm not gonna say bad, but comes challenges. If you can go back to, okay, well, that's challenge number one. So that is was the defunct meat processing and packaging facility known as Tobin's First Prize. The building was, all those walls that you see are 5 feet thick of reinforced concrete and laden with hazardous material when that facility was built in the 1930s. Groundwater contamination, soil contamination, because it was an industrial site for 60, 70, 80 years. So, that had a lot of problems. And look, that was one reason why, while the plant closed in the 80s, it was never redeveloped or no one ever did anything with it until, frankly, we came along in 2015. Number two, and Ashley mentioned it, her intro would be right on the money. The bigger problem, probably more so than that, is that it's split half in the city of Albany, half in the town of Colony. And when we were first getting this, we were first doing our due diligence in 2014, 2015, the stories were endless where it was gonna be a Costco, a Home Depot, a rail station, a casino, you name it. And the stories were the same. Whoever wanted to do it would go see back then Jerry Jennings and say, hey, Jerry, this is what we want to do. And he'd give the thumbs up. And then they'd walk with the same plan to Mary Brazell, the former supervisor in Colony, and she'd give the thumbs down. And because it was split half and half, nothing could ever get done. So that was a big problem. So Ashley had mentioned, we worked with Common Council, Town Board of Colony, and we have the First Prize Redevelopment Overlay Zoning District that controls, has its own zoning. And also complementary with that, also passed at the same time by the Common Council and the Town Board, is an intermunicipal agreement. Those two documents are the rules and regulations that govern this very unique piece of property. And those documents specifically say, here are the rules when you want to build something. Everything else in the city of Albany and everything else in the town of Colony are irrelevant when it comes to zoning. And a lot of it was governed, we did it through this, this general municipal law from New York State, 119U, that says when you have a property that's in multiple municipalities, yearning for redevelopment, it's not a greenfield statute, it's for this. If we get rid of that eyesore, you create this overlay zoning district, and you're in a municipal agreement. So that's what we did. Great example of regionalism, of intergovernmental cooperation. Doesn't get any better. And once we had those in place, we knew we had a project, and that's when it was go time. Next thing we did, this thing requires a lot of public assistance, and I'll get to some figures later. So first thing we did is we sought out public assistance because there are massive costs with abating it, demolishing it, cleaning up the groundwater, cleaning up the soil contamination. First thing we did was we applied to the Brownfield Cleanup Program, which we were accepted into. Brownfield Cleanup Program provides tax credits specifically in a situation when you have just a terrible contaminated site. And the only way anyone can undertake this type of challenge is tax credits. We were accepted into that, and that's a big help. Of course, like most public assistance, that comes after you do all the work. None of the public assistance we're talking about comes up front, so reimbursable. Matter of fact, I've had the DEC commissioner on the site a couple of times, the former one, back in Sagos. That's public assistance number one. You guys may recall the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, the URI, that Governor Cuomo did. He started it, where this was also to incentivize economic development in upstate New York. This redevelopment was specifically a catalyst project in our capital region economic development plan. That everyone was awarded money. So we're actually in line for a reimbursable grant through the URI for construction, which we're not there yet. That's administered through the Empire State Development Corp that we talked to Mike Yebley, who used to roam these hallways on a regular basis. So that's another big help. And that's just reimbursable for construction. And then lastly is Restore New York. Restore New York is financial assistance specifically for blighted properties. And we were awarded another reimbursable $1 million through Restore New York. And that came through the town of Colony because the municipalities technically have it there. So that's our public assistance we have today to help. Work on site, just real generally, the time lapse shows what we did in 20, 21, and 22. Prior to that, we spent 2 years working with the DEC because we got into the Brownfield Cleanup Program of all the sampling, whether it was groundwater, whether it was soil, whether it was the building itself, because the building had to be, you had to do all the sampling before you could do the abatement. Also remediated, there were a lot of spills on the site, there were underground tanks that we took up. One thing we're doing, which is kind of neat, if you go by the site today, it is, well, there's a smokestack. That's the last thing, and you look at that picture, the last thing standing on the site is the smokestack, and that is coming down next month. I just got approval from DEC to take that down. The other thing on the site, besides the smokestack, is a huge mound of crushed material. That is building. So what we're doing as a Smart Growth 3 initiative, we crushed up all the building and we're reusing it. After it was cleaned and abated, we're reusing it for sub-base for roads, parking lots, and buildings. So instead of trucking all that off to Buffalo, and that's a lot of emissions, and then trucking all the sub-base on, we crushed it on site and we're reusing it. So it's actually it's an idea we had and we're proud of it. So that is what we've done. We have spent to date our own money, $22 million. And that is for everything we've done to date. And that is a tremendous amount of money to have spent out of pocket before you have a shovel in the ground. And just, schedule wise, it's all dependent on PDC. We hope to have a shovel in the ground sometime in the fall. Again, very DEC dependent because they control every single aspect of the project because it is a brownfield site and we'll be open every day. So as you can see, we've made tremendous strides to get here. We've taken a tremendous amount of risk, but we've done something which no developer has been able to do, which is take that beast down, clean that site up, and we are in the final stages of getting ready to go vertical. And obviously, this redevelopment has the support of elected officials at every level. Whatever application we're putting in, with letter of support, it's kind of hard not to support the redevelopment of the first prize center. Ashley had mentioned the Consolidated Planning Board. I don't want to bore anybody with details, but it's really unique because I have a Consolidated Planning Board that is some members from the City Planning Board. It's Martin, Paul, and Vanessa. Some members from the town of Colony, and we meet at a neutral site, which is the American Legion Hall next to the site, because if we met at the town of Colony, all many people would complain if we met at So we made it a nice neutral site. That board, we've been meeting for 2 years now. We are at the last step. We have been granted our conceptual site plan approval. our preliminary site plan approval, and we expect to get our final site plan approval just the next coming months. We already have our secret determination, so we're at the last stages there. Okay, enough about what we've done. Just lastly, I want to talk about what the redevelopment plan is. Go down. Perfect, thank you. So the redevelopment plan generally, as I mentioned, it's a mix of uses, right? You've got a hotel, you've got food and beverage, you've got co-working, shared co-working office space, wellness, fitness, recreation, and multifamily residential. It is predominantly a residential site because that's what that area is, right? Classic land use. You're not gonna, I mean, it's crazy that this factory stood literally in a neighborhood for 50 years. So while it's predominantly residential, it does have other uses. So now let's talk about the municipal boundary, why, this has been never developed. So the blue line, this is the municipal boundary. Okay, and just kind of for everybody's edification, this is Exchange Street, okay? This is exit 5 of I-90, so you get off, here's Everett Road, there's a rail track that runs here. That blue line is the municipal boundary line, so it's not even like it's a nice, easy, straight shot through it. Everything below is the city of Albany, and everything above is the town of Colony. So it's pretty crazy. So that is another reason why, one thing if it was bisected in half and you had a nice straight line, it'd be easy, but this makes even further complications. So in any event, what is shown there are the phases. Okay, it's 4 phases. Phase 1, you can see it goes, phase 1 goes 1, 2 to the left, 3. It's labeled on the bottom. Phase 1, which is the middle of the site, the main entrance, that has 4 residential buildings, and then that small little square in the middle of those 4, that's the mixed-use building. And just, all the residential buildings here are basically the same except different unit counts. The first floor is parking, and then 4 floors of apartments again. So, you basically have a parking garage, and then you live above it. The mixed-use building, basically, as the name kind of indicates, that's where your shared co-working space is. It's gonna have some food and beverage. It'll have health, wellness center. It's gonna have recreational amenities like bowling alley, golf simulators, that kind of movie theater, just if you live, that kind of stuff. Outdoor rec space too. So that's your phase 1, okay? And then you move on to phase 2 to the left, and phase 3, those are all residential buildings, okay? Similar. Phase 4 is when some other non-residential come into place. If you look at phase 4 on the right, the 2 buildings on the left of phase 4, those are the final 2 residential buildings in the project. To the right of those, the one on the bottom in the city of Albany is a 125-room hotel, and above it is a 12,000 square foot retail space. Those could potentially be moved up to earlier phases, strictly market driven. Hotels right now are not still, since COVID, still not seeing a lot of hotels being built, but that's coming back, and same with retail. I think we all know where retail is these days. But potentially it could move up, and we'd like to move those up, but for now, they're in the final phase. So that's your overall redevelopment plan as far as how it's phased, what the phases consist of. Just kind of on a side note, I just want to mention the site design, because originally with that really strange municipal boundary line, we actually had some buildings that were bisected by it, because it's just so bizarre, and that caused a lot of problems. I mean, we were gonna have a building that was half in Albany, half in Colony. Who gives a building permit, with the different codes, the municipalities, emergency services, utilities, it was a disaster everywhere around. So what we did is we intentionally reworked that site to make sure that, every building is now wholly either in Albany or wholly either in Colony. But the site design, we've also spent a lot of time on, and it's really, the boulevard that runs through the middle of it, the spine, is important to it. That's kind of the focal point of the site design. All the parking's either in the building or behind the building, so you have a nice streetscape. Kind of makes it pedestrian friendly, and connectivity is really important to the site. And you also have a 2-acre green space on the left between phases 2 and 3. And we anticipate events here, because this is a big project. While it's heavily phased, when this is all built out, you're gonna have a lot of people living here. And, you know, a lot of people means a community. And that means you have to build a community, whether it's events, whether it's inside events, outside events. So that is our plan. And, you know, it's like kind of lastly, importantly, this is, you know, while we've taken down the eyesore, we are reinvigorating the site and that whole West Albany area. This supports suburban sprawl, right? This is good, smart growth, green initiative redevelopment. We're not going out into the farm fields of Half Moon. We're taking one of the worst eyesores in town, taking it down and redeveloping it to, it's really gonna be a vibrant community. And obviously create a tremendous amount of tax base for the city of Albany, the town of Colony versus it's been paying virtually nothing for taxes for 30 years. Why we're here today? You know, obviously, Ashley had mentioned, we are looking at the last critical piece of public financing to make this project economically viable. That's obviously a pilot and sales and mortgage reporting tax exemptions, which the project doesn't work without it. Got about 22 million into it now. This is a monster jobs monster. Ashley had also mentioned the only municipality, obviously, that controls the whole site is the county of Albany, right? So, you know, we first started this project, where we're gonna go for the pilot. You can't go to Albany because you only control half. You can't go to Colony because they only control half. The county of Albany is the obvious one because they can give a pilot for the entire site. And it's also really always been envisioned since we've been at this for 10 years. So, yeah, that's why I'm here today, really just to, number one, I'm glad I'm here because I wanted to run everyone through what we've done, because it's a lot, as you see, and also what we're doing, which is pretty special for Capital Region. You know, and then also just, you know, ask for your support as we're finally at a stage to go to the County of Albany and seek that financial assistance. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You answered my big question, that's on the reuse of the materials. Recycle the metal as well, I'm assuming.
Everything possible we could crush.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have just one quick question for the two commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Do you have flexibility in the site plan when you finally use it? For example,
Absolutely.
If those don't go commercial, be turned into the residential?
No, so I didn't want to do that because then you get accused of bait switch.
Yep.
Right, and we don't want this all residential. I mean, you need amenity space. It's good hotel site, it's a great retail site in that corner. That you're gonna have, you know, this right now is full build at 824 residential units. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who want places to eat. They want, you know, they want amenities to use. The shared co-work space is gonna be a home run here because you have all these people, they live in apartments. We all know where COVID is. You still have people on a hybrid, you still have people home, and you live in an apartment. You wanna get out of there. And you have co-working space literally that you can walk to. There's gonna be a little coffee shop in there because it's a lot of people. You go in, you go to the coffee shop, you grab a bagel, you get coffee, you go upstairs to your, you know, your area in that shared space. So I got a little off track on your question. Sorry about that. So that's kind of the answer to it.
Got it, thank you.
Sure.
I had at least one more thing I wanted to note before we go for consideration of this matter. Bill mentioned it, and it was that special overlay zoning district.
Yes.
And I know, you know, many of you have probably already answered this question in your head. The reason why a project of this scale and magnitude still can happen at this point in time and be in the city of Albany is because of that special overlay zoning district, whereby inclusionary zoning is not applicable to this project. So, but for that, this would not be able to happen.
100% correct.
And then the other thing I will say as sort of a final add-on here is, you know, we don't take it lightly, sort of turning a project, you know, to a different entity. So we did treat this with special review by staff. But we do think it's in the best interest of the project in terms of efficiency for this, you know, for this specific project to mirror what the intermunicipal agreement did.
Great, and we did distribute a draft letter. I will also email that to the board, at the conclusion of this meeting. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions on it, please let us know. We took the time to try to work into this letter, pretty much what Ashley has said and the rationale as to why this is such a unique project for a multitude of reasons. And those all come together to make the county, in this specific instance, the best source for seeking a pilot. I do want to note, towards the conclusion of the letter, we also do mention that we do expect to be in communication with Albany County on this and to work out a mutually agreeable fee share structure. So we will keep the board apprised of that as that time comes.
Have there been any preliminary discussions with them on this or not? Not yet.
Not yet. I think what we may want to do, and please interject if what I'm saying is inaccurate, is use this letter and as kind of an introduction with the county to sit down and talk about this.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we have a county IDA is for a situation like this, so. Yeah.
And Darius, I know that question was directed to the board, not for myself.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I've been in constant communication with the county IDA probably for 5
Sure.
years. So he's very aware of where the project stands, that, we will be coming to him. And, he's always made it very clear that, the county's not gonna do anything that the town of Colony and the city of Albany is not on board with. He's made it very clear to them. So this has always been where we've been marching to for many years.
Great.
Thank you very much for
Great.
bringing in that.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Great, thanks for the time.
And then
Really
yeah,
appreciate it.
it's
Thanks.
all-
Yeah.
Strong video.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Ooh, a video. Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Got distracted in the middle of the day watching the time.
So I would also like to, under agency update, recognize something that I don't think we recognized in December, because this meeting at this board happened before the Capitalized Albany Board. But I did want to call special attention to the fact that Andy Torcione on the Capitalized Albany Board has been appointed as vice president. So big change for Andy here, and in recognition of his service, I just wanted to make sure that that was noted.
Cool, excellent.
And then, so not to jump to a totally unrelated thing, but we brought up the 2025 Economic Development Conference held by New York State EDC at the Finance Committee meeting, and we received a positive recommendation from the Finance Committee to once again support this conference with a bronze level sponsorship at the $1,500 level. So I just wanted to, I think we were gonna do action on that. Did we say that?
Yeah, we probably should just avoid voting.
May I get a motion to approve the sponsorship of the EDC conference at the bronze level?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then also with this, we do have, the agenda is, building out more as we speak. And so, the team will email out, the website links, so you guys can take a look at the agenda in case you want to attend. And Chris had mentioned that, there would be staff representation on discussing the pilot.
Pilots, one of my partners, that you did last year, office committee time, talk about pilots. Do attend.
So let us know, if you have an interest in attending when we send out the registration. And I think that wraps up agency.
I think just a very quick, Ashley and I and Olivia did have kind of a kickoff call with WZHA in terms of finally getting down to the revision of the framework. So we are double checking some of the data that we pulled in over the last 18 months, updating anything that needs to be updated. And we hope, given how busy things are, we're still gonna try to get a governance committee in this first quarter to start that discussion again.
That was agency compliance, not compliance, but compliance with the.
So, board compliance letters are, sorry, compliance letters just went out at the beginning of this month. Responses are rolling in, so staff is working on that, just tracking everything and working with our project representatives to make sure that everything's good to go. We will provide more comprehensive updates at the finance and board meetings in the coming months, so stay tuned for that. On board compliance, we're doing great on that, so thank you to everyone who has submitted. I will be emailing around the fillable PDFs for everyone who has not submitted, so just check your inboxes for those, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
As a reminder from past years, we're not against public shaming, so.
This morning,
Yeah.
next meeting,
Yeah.
names will be named.
I'm in, the race is on.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me. Anything else to discuss? Motion to adjourn,
So move.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.